Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. San Antonio Spurs beat LeBron-less Lakers 117-110 on Monday night to snap a 4-game losing streak. The struggling Spurs, who sit 12th in the Western Conference, got 26 points from young gun DeJounte Murray. It was a milestone night for Greg Popovich, who won his 335th game as head coach, tying Don Nelson for the most in NBA history in the regular season. Coach Pop is now in his 26th season as head coach of the Spurs and presided over all 5 of the team's NBA titles in 1999, 2003, 2005, 2006, and 2014. He's won the Coach of the Year honor on 3 occasions. He's famous for his withering responses to questions from reporters, and we present you with this selection.
Hadn't won at home since December 1st. I mean, defensively, what was the issue?
Did I just say that we were pathetic on defense?
Well, all right, so
what would you like me to do? Would you like me to slit my throat or
no? Like, what was pathetic about
beat myself up or something like that?
Can you get more specific about what was
I'm not going to give you a coaching clinic. If you're going to start, can somebody else start? Because these questions are like unanswerable. They make no sense. Like, hey, what did you think of so-and-so's play tonight?
It wasn't my question.
So go ahead. I'll prove it. Go ahead. What's your question?
Pop, you think this team needs a major overhaul to be able to challenge for a championship?
We just lost in the first round. I'm not going to think about overhauls. I'm going to get a bite to eat and maybe have a Gatorade. We probably should try hard to win that game. That would be the urgency. Jeez, oh whiz, guys, come on.
Champ, tell me about your fiery Francophile, the Parisian torpedo, Tony Parker. Can he continue to be your main butter and egg man and still cook the boys from Big D?
Am I being punked or something? Or?
Come on. I'm old. My hand shakes. Your hand shouldn't shake. Set straight. Relax.
Next guy that misses a free throw is going to buy me a new car.
Joining us now to speak on Coach Pop on the Spurs is our NBA analyst, Alistair Albert. Alistair, good afternoon.
Hi there, guys. Good afternoon, and happy International Women's Day to everyone feeding us watching the program today. Excellent.
Yeah, the man is right. My production team, these guys are like that. They're saying everyone, and I said, well, we are all from women, so the greeting is quite opposite, right?
Right, yeah.
There you go. I must tell you, Alistair, I've been a part of some of those NBA scrums myself, and it amazes me the questions that some of these guys ask, and I'm like, man, you are inviting the person being interviewed to insult you. And Greg Popovich is one who doesn't miss a chance to make it clear that you are stupid with that question that you're asking and you're wasting his time. Top man. Anyway, let's talk about his career. What a man.
Yeah, man. The guy has been a stalwart in this league. Started coaching in 1996. He had, I suppose, someone might say, he had a bit of a silver spoon, in his mouth when he came into coaching, having David Robinson and drafting Tim Duncan the following year in 1997, 1998. And, and he's went on to have a very prolific career, of course, now tying Don Nelson with the most wins, career wins in the regular season in NBA history. Recently, he was anointed, yes, I could use that word, as one of the top 15 players in the history of the NBA in the coaching ranks. And, it's all well-deserved. This is a guy who's put in the work. He's paid his dues. He's won 5 championships. He's third in the all-time coaching wins for championship wins behind Phil Jackson and Red Auerbach. And he's one of a kind. As we've seen in those media scrums, he has a bit of a personality, a bit prickly, but he's all fun and games with his players. He comes across that way to the media, but all his players always say, as much as he is accountable and very tough on them, he's very loving and very nurturing to them in their professional careers and personally as well. So he's a holistic guy, all round coach. And, it's great to see him reach that milestone. And, he's still there adding to that record.
You know how I know when a coach is genuinely good, Alistair? When his ex-players, those who've moved on to other teams, and even those who've retired under his hand, everybody speaks well about them. And I look at the variety of personalities that Greg Popovich has had. I remember him having Dennis Rodman when he was a Spur for that time. And I'm trying to remember the pastor's name. Was it Avery Johnson? It was the same David Robinson team. He was a shorter fellow with it was him. Yeah. A very hard character to deal with. I found him difficult to deal with, and I was only a fan. But I'm just saying that the varying characters that he's had to deal with, and nobody ever left and said, oh, he's a crap coach, he's overrated. Everybody, maximum respect. It speaks to the enduring quality of the man.
From guys who are absolutely disciplined, like Tim Duncan, like David Robinson, to guys like Dennis Rodman, like you mentioned, guys like Steven Jackson, who we know is like one of those hard-nosed, gangster-type guys. Sorry to use the word gangster, but, he does come across really hard, and tough, tough street kind of guy. And, I don't think he would kind of say he's not that. So, he's managed all types of personalities. And I think what you could see from that, the spectrum of guys that he's coached, international players, US born guys and everything, they all just, value how he coaches them. It's about accountability, but there's a certain level of respect and an aura that he carries about himself in the way he goes about his business. He doesn't try to belittle players. It's just all about accountability. And, when I look at the stats and look at everything that, he's been able to accomplish, this is a guy who people have considered, and his team has been considered dry and boring and everything. But as you look through everything really closely, you could see this is someone who is really keen on adapting to the way the game has gone from, high stats in blocks and defensive stats and everything to one of the coaches with the most three-pointers attempted and made on his teams combined, across history. So, he's been able to move with the times and kind of bring players who have the specific skills for the era that they play in and, just maximize that talent to kind of get the wins that he has. And, he's done that expertly, and that's why he is where he is.
Definitely brilliant that he has been able to adapt because, he's been at the helm for a very long time. Pop is now 73 years old. Maybe we can talk a bit about what he himself has contributed to the game of basketball.
Well, the obvious stuff is like, of course, the wins, being a record holder, and he will possibly pass that this week. The next game is in Toronto. That's probably a very winnable game. He's gonna make that mark this year, and I think it's just the level of discipline, that he's brought to the table, and the types of wins that they were able to accomplish during his tenure. One thing I suppose we could all kind of thank Coach Popovich for is load management. I think all of us could probably remember, that very lovely joke about the DMP old that he gave to Tim Duncan because, he was old and, he wanted to give him a bit of a rest. And, he kind of used that to his advantage. He kind of grated on David Stern, not being able to, put players on the court and being fined for it and everything. But he was trying to maximize the health of his team as they went into the playoffs. So I think that's one of the things that he'll be remembered for. And of course, these personality, clips that we saw there, his gritty, very bristly sideline interviews and everything. Although a lot of people have kind of complained about it, it was provided, a media gold, gems in the vaults that we could all go to. I had a huge laugh in the background whilst one of those clips were playing because, he's just amazing how he came up, how witty he is with some of the responses he gave. So all of that, I think, just contributes to who he is and the man that he is.
Yeah, and now that he has made this achievement, and I mean, he's 73 years of age, and that's a milestone to achieve in itself. Do you see him, maybe stepping away from the game that he knows and loves anytime soon?
I think it's one of the things that he has probably been watching. I remember when LaMarcus Aldridge was brought in from Portland, he made a commitment to him and said, I will be there for the duration of your contract. I'm not going to retire. I'm not sure what conversations he's had with Deontay Murray, but I know he would want to leave the ownership and R.C. Buford, the GM, with a good hand of talents for them to work with. So, I don't know how much longer Pop will play for. He probably has about maybe 2 or 3 seasons left. But even like we saw with Tom Brady in the other sport, NFL, guys who think they could go on forever, after a while just decide to call it quits. And this is a guy who has accomplished as much as anyone in the sport. He's kind of done everything there is to do. If he decides to walk away at the end of this season or next, he has every right to. But I think that time is definitely coming. And who knows, you might see somebody like Becky Hammond, maybe, first woman head coach in the NBA, or someone else on the bench who could come in and take the team to the next decade of success.
I know it's obvious to say Tim Duncan. Who's the best player he has coached? Kawhi?
Ooh, it's Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is like in the top 10 rankings for the top players of all time.
I'm being facetious.
So I suppose maybe facetious. Okay, all right, cool, fair enough. Definitely up there in terms of all-rounded skill players. So definitely up there with Tim Duncan.
All right. Thank you, Alistair. All the best.
All right, guys. See you later.
Good. These are the scores of the games played on Monday. Knicks beating the Kings. Warriors losing to the Nuggets. The Spurs beat up the Lakers, as we told you. The Mavericks too strong for the Jazz. Timberwolves, they smashed the Trailblazers, you know. The Heat comfortable over the Rockets. The 76ers mashing up the Bulls, and the Pistons, 3-point difference between them and the Hawks. Right, so yeah, great Popovich. Yeah, you know, they say legend and great and all that, and we are in the age of hyperbole, where everything is magnified, and people whose vocabularies are very limited, Mariah, describe everything as brilliant, great, outstanding, wonderful, this, that. This man would qualify for all of those superlatives. You know, he's a true legend of the game.
Definitely leaving his mark, and somebody that's worth celebrating and discussing.
Yep.
Well, we still have a special interview to come out of St. Lucia, plus a look at day one of the first test between West Indies and England in Antigua. But after the break, the focus turns to the UEFA Champions League as we analyze second leg round of 16 action involving Bayern Munich, RB Salzburg, Liverpool and Inter Milan.